The news show opens with upbeat, sarcastic theme music. Anchor 1 introduces the show with a gruff voice. The show aims to reveal the truth, regardless of audience preference. Anchor 2 presents the urban crime segment with a deadpan delivery. The segment is described, metaphorically, as a cesspool. The show's tone is cynical and direct. Crime rates are reportedly on the rise in various locations. The news segment will focus on cities significantly impacted by increased crime. Statistical data regarding the overall crime trends will be presented. The report aims to inform the public about the current crime situation. Areas with higher crime rates will be highlighted in the discussion. A crime wave involves more than just minor offenses. It includes noticeable increases in violent crime rates. Property crime also experiences a significant surge. Additionally, there's a rise in crimes of opportunity. These crimes are characterized by criminals exploiting immediate chances. News reports often present crime statistics to inform the public. These reports may highlight crime rates in various cities. Visuals often contrast affluent areas with those affected by crime. Skyscrapers may be juxtaposed with images of graffiti or urban decay. This contrast aims to emphasize the socioeconomic factors linked to crime. The current crime wave is attributable to a complex interplay of factors. Socioeconomic factors, such as poverty and inequality, contribute significantly to crime rates. A lack of opportunities, including education and employment, further exacerbates the problem. The erosion of societal norms and values also plays a crucial role in the rise of criminal activity. The news segment is concluding with a summary of the current situation. The anchor indicates that the situation is dire. There is an implication of widespread negative impact. The government's response is mentioned, framed as a promise of action. Skepticism is introduced regarding the government's claims. Viewers are encouraged to stay tuned for further updates. The news segment will focus on the federal government's response to a current issue. The anchors will discuss the actions being taken by federal authorities. The segment aims to analyze the effectiveness of these federal interventions. One anchor suggests the federal response may be inadequate. The discussion will likely explore the shortcomings of the federal measures. The federal government has initiated multiple programs to address local issues. These initiatives include increased financial support for local law enforcement agencies. Task forces are being created to tackle specific problems within communities. Community outreach programs are also being funded as part of these federal efforts. Reports indicate a significant portion of funds are being misallocated. A considerable amount is reportedly consumed by bureaucratic processes. Consultant fees are also absorbing a substantial part of the funding. This raises concerns about the efficiency of fund distribution. The situation is described as shocking due to the extent of the alleged misuse. Task forces are designed to address specific criminal activities or issues. Some task forces have achieved success in targeted areas. However, the overall impact of task forces is often limited. Criminals exploit jurisdictional boundaries to evade task forces. Criminals can easily relocate their activities to avoid specific task force operations. Community outreach programs are designed to tackle the fundamental reasons behind criminal activities. These programs typically incorporate job training initiatives. Counseling services are also provided as part of the support system. The aim is to offer alternatives and reduce crime rates through rehabilitation and support. A federal initiative's effectiveness is being assessed. The news clip presents contrasting viewpoints on the initiative. A politician praises the initiative's positive impact. This endorsement highlights the perceived success at a high level. A local resident voices concerns about the lack of visible change. This contrasting view reveals a disconnect between policy and local experience. Federal responses are often initiated with good intentions. Political infighting frequently hinders the effectiveness of these responses. A lack of coordination between federal agencies further complicates the response efforts. These factors often undermine the efficiency of governmental actions. The result is a system struggling to effectively address critical issues. Federal efforts are underway, but their success remains uncertain. The outcome is still pending, suggesting ongoing evaluation. The situation is unresolved, possibly leading to a stalemate. Further updates will follow after the commercial break. The news segment will explore alternative solutions to a problem. The anchors question the feasibility of these solutions. The segment will delve into hypothetical possibilities. The discussion will venture into wishful thinking scenarios. Some argue crime reduction requires addressing underlying societal issues. These issues include poverty, which can drive individuals to criminal activity. Lack of education limits opportunities and increases the likelihood of crime. Systemic inequality creates environments where crime is more prevalent. Some advocate for a more aggressive approach to community safety. This approach involves increasing police presence in communities. It also includes stricter enforcement of existing laws. The goal is to deter crime through visible law enforcement. Increased police presence aims to create a safer environment. However, some question the effectiveness of this approach in building community trust. Technology offers potential solutions for crime prevention. Advanced surveillance systems can enhance monitoring capabilities. Predictive policing algorithms can help anticipate criminal activities. However, concerns exist regarding privacy and potential overreach. A city successfully reduced crime rates through strategic interventions. The reduction was achieved through a combination of community policing initiatives. Community policing focuses on building trust and collaboration between police and residents. Social programs were also implemented to address underlying issues contributing to crime. These programs aim to improve education, employment, and social support for at-risk individuals. A holistic approach is crucial for achieving long-term solutions. This approach integrates law enforcement strategies. It also incorporates social services to address underlying issues. Community engagement is a vital component of this holistic strategy. Combining these elements promotes sustainable change. Such comprehensive solutions may require significant financial investment. Potential solutions exist, but require substantial financial commitment. These solutions also depend on strong political determination. Both investment and political will are crucial for progress. The availability of these resources is currently questionable. Therefore, implementing these solutions faces significant challenges. Real-world solutions face significant implementation challenges. One major obstacle is the financial aspect. Funding and willingness to pay are critical factors. Lack of financial support can hinder the adoption of solutions. Political polarization significantly hinders consensus building on crime policy. The current political climate often frames discussions about crime within a culture war context. This framing complicates the process of finding common ground and bipartisan solutions. Divergent ideological perspectives make it challenging to address crime effectively. The politicization of crime policy can lead to gridlock and delayed action. Reaching across the aisle is essential for creating effective and sustainable crime policies. Budgetary limitations can significantly restrict the scope and effectiveness of potential solutions. Financial constraints may lead to the adoption of inadequate or insufficient strategies. Effective problem solving often requires substantial investment in resources and manpower. Underfunding critical initiatives can undermine their ability to achieve desired outcomes. Adequate financial support is essential for developing and implementing comprehensive solutions. Some communities exhibit resistance to certain law enforcement strategies. These strategies may include increased police presence in the area. Another resisted strategy is increased surveillance. This resistance often stems from a distrust of authority. A city is facing difficulties in implementing a new crime prevention program. The program's rollout is encountering unexpected obstacles. These challenges may include funding shortages or lack of community support. Bureaucratic hurdles could also be slowing down the implementation process. The city is actively working to address these issues and ensure the program's success. Effective solutions necessitate ongoing dedication from all involved parties. Securing this sustained commitment often represents the most significant hurdle. Maintaining focus in a society characterized by short attention spans poses a challenge. The anchor questions the feasibility of long-term dedication. Achieving lasting commitment requires overcoming societal attention deficits. The dialogue highlights the difficulty of ensuring continuous support for solutions. The news segment addresses significant challenges. These challenges are described as complex, implying multifaceted solutions are needed. A pessimistic outlook is presented, suggesting a difficult or unfavorable situation. Despite the grim assessment, viewers are encouraged to remain engaged. This juxtaposition creates tension between acknowledging problems and maintaining viewership. The segment aims to retain audience attention even when delivering potentially discouraging news. The news segment begins with a question about hope. Anchor 1 poses the question, "So, is there any hope?" Anchor 2 responds with a pessimistic outlook. Anchor 2 states, "Probably not." Despite the pessimism, Anchor 2 suggests pretending there is hope for a few more minutes. Despite ongoing challenges, some success stories exist. These stories provide a glimmer of hope amidst difficulties. However, these instances are often isolated. They may be considered exceptions rather than the norm. The success stories, though limited, serve as important examples. Addressing crime effectively requires localized strategies. Solutions must be tailored to the unique needs of each community. Generic, one-size-fits-all approaches are generally ineffective in addressing crime. Customized strategies are essential for successful crime reduction. Individuals play a crucial role in community affairs. Active community involvement is a key aspect of this role. Holding elected officials accountable is another vital component. The definition of accountable can be subjective and vary among individuals. Achieving consensus on what constitutes accountability can be challenging. Local communities are increasingly proactive in addressing crime issues. Community members unite to foster safer environments for all residents. This collaborative approach often involves neighborhood watch programs. Residents share information and support one another, enhancing safety. Such community initiatives significantly contribute to crime reduction and prevention. Community organizers believe change is achievable. Achieving change requires a collective effort from many individuals. A fundamental belief in the power of community is essential. This perspective emphasizes the strength derived from unified action. Skepticism suggests that such optimism requires a degree of unrealistic thinking. The news segment focuses on crime. Anchor 1 emphasizes the protracted and challenging nature of combating crime. The anchor suggests crime is a persistent societal issue. Anchor 2 offers a contrasting, somewhat cynical perspective. This anchor implies that crime provides a constant source of news and discussion. The segment concludes with differing views on the role of crime in news reporting. News anchors conclude their broadcast with standard sign-offs. The anchors advise viewers to remain vigilant and informed. A key message is to prioritize personal safety in all situations. Viewers are encouraged to report any suspicious activity they observe. A humorous remark suggests avoiding interaction with politicians. The news segment concludes with upbeat outro music. Credits roll, signaling the end of the broadcast. The music has a slightly sarcastic tone. Anchors exchange cynical glances. This suggests a critical perspective on the news covered. The news segment concludes on a somber note. The anchors reflect a sense of resignation. The tone suggests a bleak outlook on current events. A discussion about the apocalypse is presented with dark humor. The anchors use sarcasm to cope with difficult news. The overall atmosphere is cynical and darkly comedic. The podcast aims to increase its audience engagement. One strategy is encouraging viewers to like, subscribe, and share the content. This method relies on direct calls to action to expand reach. An alternative approach respects audience autonomy by not pressuring them. News anchors often encourage viewers to leave questions or comments. This invitation suggests an open dialogue between the news program and its audience. However, there is often an unspoken reality regarding the feasibility of addressing all feedback. Due to time constraints and the volume of responses, not all comments can be acknowledged. Therefore, viewer participation may not always result in direct engagement on air. Anchor 1 concludes the news broadcast, signaling the end of the show. The sign-off indicates the transition from news presentation to closure. Anchor 2 adds a cynical remark, offering a perspective on the news. The final statement encourages viewers to maintain a critical outlook. The news segment concludes with a fade to black. The new Sentinel logo is displayed prominently on the screen. This logo serves as the identifier for the news program. Following the logo, the credits begin to roll. The credits acknowledge the individuals involved in the production. This sequence marks the official end of the news broadcast. News blooper reels showcase unscripted, humorous moments from news broadcasts. These reels often feature anchors breaking character. They may include anchors making sarcastic remarks. Bloopers provide a behind-the-scenes look at the personalities of news anchors. The blooper reel is an optional segment. The news anchors express a shared sentiment of needing a drink. This indicates a desire to cope with the pressures of their profession. The suggestion to make it a double implies a need for stronger relief. The subsequent comment about moving to a gated community reveals a longing for security and isolation. This gated community represents a desire to escape from the problems they report on. Collectively, these statements highlight the emotional toll of constantly delivering negative news. The podcast episode concludes its audio broadcast. The visual element transitions to a gradual fade. The screen progressively darkens as part of the ending sequence. The final state is a complete fade to black, signaling the end. The news segment focused on a significant increase in criminal activity. The situation was described as a severe crime wave. The magnitude of the crime wave was emphasized. The crime wave was compared to a tsunami. The segment highlighted the prevalence of muggings as part of the crime surge. The news segment is recapping the federal government's response to a situation. The anchor critiques the government's actions. The response is described as largely ineffective. A simile is used to emphasize the inadequacy. The government's efforts are compared to using a water pistol to extinguish a forest fire. The news segment focused on potential solutions. Anchor 1 introduced the topic of possible resolutions. Anchor 2 made a remark about an unrealistic scenario. The unrealistic scenario involved unicorns dispensing free healthcare. This comment implies a contrast between ideal solutions and practical realities. The segment likely explores the challenges of implementing ideal solutions in the real world. The news segment covered a range of topics. Solutions to certain problems were discussed. The discussion included potential implementation strategies. Challenges associated with these solutions were also addressed. The segment highlighted the complexities of problem solving. It acknowledged that implementing solutions is rarely straightforward. The news segment initially presented a hopeful outlook. This positive perspective was then immediately followed by a contrasting, more realistic view. The juxtaposition aimed to provide a balanced assessment. The segment structure involved presenting optimism, followed by a dose of reality. The news broadcast is coming to an end. The anchors express their gratitude to the audience for tuning in. A key message is conveyed. Stay skeptical. This advice emphasizes the importance of critical thinking. Skepticism is presented as a vital tool for navigating information. It is suggested that a skeptical approach is essential for survival in a complex world. The news program is concluding its broadcast. Anchors signal the end of the show with a goodbye. This gesture is directed towards the viewers and listeners. It marks the transition to the next program or segment. The farewell signifies the completion of their news delivery. The podcast episode has concluded, and the anchors are now engaging in a post-episode discussion. This segment allows for a more informal exchange of thoughts and opinions on the topics covered. The anchors share their personal reflections and insights gained from the discussion. This provides additional context and perspective for the audience. News anchors often ponder the impact of their broadcasts on society. There is often a question of whether the news is truly making a difference. Some anchors may doubt the significance of their work. Entertainment value can be a fallback justification for news broadcasting. News anchors engage in on-air discussions, presenting different viewpoints. One anchor believes they are illuminating important issues for the audience. This suggests a focus on investigative journalism and public awareness. Another anchor counters with a sarcastic remark about blinding people. This implies a cynical view of the news or the approach taken by the first anchor. Two news anchors are in a studio setting. Anchor 1 states that they are actively doing something. Anchor 2 agrees, emphasizing the value of their action. Anchor 2 suggests their proactive approach sets them apart. The news segment has reached its conclusion. Anchors finalize their on-air discussion. Preparations begin for the subsequent episode. Final remarks are delivered to the audience. The broadcast transitions towards the next segment. Studio staff prepare for the upcoming broadcast content. This is a teaser for the next news episode. The teaser is designed to pique viewer interest. It provides a brief glimpse into the upcoming content. The goal is to encourage viewers to tune in. The teaser highlights key topics to be covered. It serves as a promotional tool for the episode. Artificial intelligence, AI, is rapidly evolving and gaining prominence across various sectors. The upcoming discussion will focus on the advancements and implications of AI technology. AI's development raises both excitement and concerns about its potential impact on society. The term robot apocalypse is a hyperbolic representation of potential AI risks. It reflects fears about AI surpassing human control and causing widespread disruption. The discussion aims to explore these concerns and provide a balanced perspective on AI's future. The news segment is about to begin. The anchors express anticipation for what is to come. The tone suggests an exciting or unpredictable event. Viewers are encouraged to prepare for an eventful broadcast. The news segment concludes in the studio. The new Sentinel logo is prominently displayed. The logo serves as a final visual identifier for the broadcast. The screen fades to black, signaling the end of the news program. The news broadcast has concluded. The news anchors express relief at the end of their shift. There is a suggestion to go out for drinks. The team agrees to celebrate together. The anchors toast to the end of the news cycle. The news cycle is described as depressing. The podcast episode has reached its conclusion. All segments and discussions within the planned time frame are now complete. The recording and live broadcast, if applicable, are officially terminated. Post-production processes, such as editing and distribution, will commence. Listeners can anticipate the availability of the episode on relevant platforms. The podcast team expresses gratitude to the audience for their participation. The federal government has initiated a response to the increasing crime wave. The effectiveness of these measures is currently being debated. Significant financial resources are being allocated to address the issue. The actual impact of this spending on solving the underlying problems remains uncertain. The situation is critically flawed, resembling a gunshot wound. The proposed solution is likened to a band-aid, inadequate for the severity. The solution is further criticized for being excessively expensive. This implies a wasteful allocation of resources to a superficial fix. Increased funding for local law enforcement is a recurring trend. This often results in expanded surveillance capabilities. A potential consequence is the reduction of community engagement initiatives. The balance between surveillance and community relations is critical. The allocation of resources impacts law enforcement's role in the community. News anchors discuss the proliferation of task forces. One anchor notes the increasing number of task forces being created. Another anchor expresses skepticism about their actual impact. The skeptical anchor suggests that many task forces are primarily engaged in administrative tasks and meetings. Anchor 1 suggests that any action, regardless of its effectiveness, is better than inaction. This implies a low bar for evaluating the impact or success of the actions being discussed. Anchor 2's long pause indicates hesitation or disagreement with Anchor 1's optimistic view. The eventual agreement from Anchor 2 is delivered with noticeable lack of enthusiasm. This exchange highlights a potentially cynical or resigned perspective on the situation being reported. The core issue is whether fundamental problems are being addressed. Addressing root cause requires significant effort. Effective solutions demand long-term planning. Short-term fixes often fail to resolve underlying issues. Comprehensive strategies are essential for lasting impact. Anchor 1 asks a question about alternatives. Anchor 2 responds with a cynical view. The response suggests a continuation of the status quo. The phrase "more of the same, but louder" implies an escalation without real change. The discussion centers on the concept of broad legalization. One anchor proposes complete legalization as a potential solution. This suggestion is met with immediate and strong disapproval. Another anchor characterizes the idea as a terrible, terrible thought. This highlights a significant difference in viewpoints. The exchange underscores the controversial nature of the topic. The federal response to the escalating crime wave is currently underway. However, the situation is complex and multifaceted, presenting significant challenges. There are concerns about the potential effectiveness of the federal intervention. The likelihood of the federal response failing to achieve its objectives is a topic of discussion. The news anchors are in a news studio. Anchor 3 makes a remark about having something to complain about. Anchor 3's statement suggests a potentially negative situation. Anchor 4 responds by saying, "That's the American way." Anchor 4's response implies that complaining is a common aspect of American culture. The exchange highlights a possibly cynical perspective on American society. Anarchy will be discussed next week. The discussion aims to explore the merits of anarchy. The broadcast will be available next week. Viewers are encouraged to tune in. The discussion is anticipated to be lively. The broadcast will cover the concept of anarchy. The news segment concludes with a transition between anchors. Anchor 3 uses the word "literally" to emphasize a point. This could indicate a factual statement or a strong conviction. Anchor 4 then delivers a traditional sign-off. The phrase "good night" and "good luck" is a common closing remark in news broadcasting. It serves as a polite farewell to the audience and a wish for their well-being. The cities most affected are New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. These cities are the usual suspects. These cities are expensive to live in. The cost of living is high in these cities. Crime rates are reportedly increasing across various categories. There is a particular concern regarding the rise in violent crime. Violent crime poses a significant threat to public safety and well-being. The increase in violent crime is a worrying trend. The public is concerned about the rise in violent crime. Property crime rates are increasing. The public is advised to take preventative measures. Lock all doors and windows to secure your property. Conceal valuable items to deter theft. Increased vigilance can help reduce vulnerability. Cybercrime refers to criminal activities carried out using computers and the internet. It encompasses a wide range of illegal activities targeting individuals, organizations, and governments. The internet's global reach facilitates the commission of cybercrimes across borders. Cybercriminals exploit vulnerabilities in systems and networks to achieve their objectives. Combating cybercrime requires international cooperation and advanced security measures. The current surge in crime rates is attributed to a complex web of factors. These underlying causes are multifaceted and interconnected. Simplistic explanations often fail to capture the true nature of the problem. Attributing the crime wave solely to individual character flaws is an oversimplification. Socioeconomic factors have a notable influence on crime rates. Poverty is often correlated with higher crime rates. Economic hardship can create conditions that foster criminal activity. The relationship between socioeconomic status and crime is a complex issue. A significant contributing factor to societal instability is the lack of opportunity. When individuals perceive they have nothing to lose, their behavior can become unpredictable. Desperation can drive people to extreme measures they might not otherwise consider. The absence of viable options can erode social order and increase the likelihood of unrest. Societal norms are the unwritten rules that govern behavior within a community. A breakdown of these norms suggests a weakening of shared values. This erosion can manifest as a decline in respect for established institutions. It also reflects a shift in attitudes towards authority and tradition. The perceived lack of respect indicates a potential crisis in social cohesion. The news anchors discuss potential solutions to an unspecified problem. Anchor uno poses a question regarding a solution. Anchor 2 suggests moving to a gated community. This implies that gated communities offer a solution to the problem. The exact nature of the problem remains unstated in the dialogue. Two news anchors present, contrasting viewpoints. One suggests passively accepting one's circumstances. This implies a lack of agency or resistance. The other anchor reinforces this sentiment. Their shared perspective advocates for resignation. The news program presents a pessimistic view of the world. The broadcast focuses on negative events and occurrences. The news anchors acknowledge the grim nature of their reporting. The program positions itself as a source of information. Despite the negativity, news anchors often conclude broadcasts with safety advice. This advice aims to ensure the well-being of viewers. One anchor emphasizes the importance of staying safe. This is a general reminder to be cautious and aware. Another anchor adds a more cynical warning. The anchor advises viewers not to trust anyone. Anchor 1 bids the audience goodnight. Anchor 2 expresses a dismissive sentiment. The phrase, "good riddance," implies a sense of relief or closure. This exchange suggests a potentially negative or controversial event being concluded. The news broadcast is coming to an end. Anchor 3 announces the end of the show. "We're out." This phrase indicates the conclusion of their segment. Anchor 4 follows with a farewell. "Peace." This is a casual way of saying goodbye to the viewers. The news anchors are discussing the federal government's response to a situation. Anchor 1 describes the government's response as trying to herd cats. This implies the government is facing a difficult, chaotic, and unmanageable task. Anchor 2 builds upon this analogy, adding that the cats are armed and dangerous. This suggests the situation the government is dealing with is not only chaotic but also potentially harmful or violent. The analogy highlights the high stakes and complexity of the government's challenge. The phrase describes a situation where large sums of money are spent without any tangible results. It suggests the funds are being wasted or disappearing without solving the underlying problem. The analogy to a black hole implies that the money is being absorbed without any return. It indicates a futile attempt to fix an issue by simply injecting more capital. News anchors are discussing the formation of task forces. Task forces are described as committees. These committees primarily meet and engage in discussions. One anchor suggests these task forces often fail to achieve tangible results. The implication is that their efforts are unproductive. Community outreach programs are initiatives designed to engage and support local communities. These programs aim to address specific needs or issues within a community. The effectiveness of community outreach programs can vary significantly in practice. Implementation challenges often hinder the success of these well-intentioned programs. The purpose is to create an appearance of activity. The focus is on perception rather than genuine action. The goal is to make it appear that progress is being made. The underlying intention is to simulate productivity. The emphasis is on outward presentation. The objective is to project an image of engagement. The news environment can sometimes be perceived as a political game. This perception suggests strategic maneuvering and power dynamics are at play. Anchors may feel like pawns within this game. The pawn analogy implies a lack of control or influence over events. This dynamic can lead to a sense of being manipulated or used for political purposes. The anchor statement highlights a potential tension between journalistic integrity and political agendas. The news anchors are in a studio setting. Anchor 1 expresses a sentiment about being entertained. Anchor 2 offers a qualified agreement, saying "sort of." This suggests a potentially ironic or sarcastic tone. The exchange implies a shared understanding between the anchors. The overall mood is casual and conversational. The news program is titled "The New Sentinel," The program aims to deliver factual information. The news is presented without concern for audience approval. There is an awareness that the audience may dislike the presented truths. News broadcasts often focus on negative events. This emphasis can create a pessimistic view of the world. The selection of stories influences public perception. Media outlets sometimes prioritize sensationalism over balanced reporting. Two news anchors deliver closing remarks on a broadcast. Anchor 3 offers a traditional farewell. Good night, and may God have mercy on your soul. This sets a somber or ominous tone. Anchor 4 follows with a contrasting statement. Because we certainly won't. This implies a lack of forgiveness or a grim outlook from the news team. The news anchors are discussing potential solutions to an unspecified problem. Anchor 1 suggests that the solutions are clear and well-defined. However, Anchor 1 claims there is a reluctance to put these solutions into practice. Anchor 2 counters by stating the solutions are too expensive. Anchor 2 also suggests implementing the solutions is too difficult. The discussion highlights a common conflict between ideal solutions and practical constraints. Addressing the root causes of crime involves identifying the underlying societal issues that contribute to criminal behavior. Poverty is often cited as a significant root cause, creating conditions where individuals may turn to crime for survival. Lack of opportunity, including limited access to education and employment, also plays a crucial role. Addressing these issues may require comprehensive societal changes to improve living conditions and opportunities. Implementing such changes could involve systemic reforms and long-term investments in social programs. Investing in education and job training is proposed as a beneficial strategy. Education investment aims to improve workforce skills and knowledge. Job training seeks to equip individuals with specific vocational abilities. A potential drawback is the financial cost associated with these investments. Funding is a critical consideration when planning education and job training programs. The criminal justice system is under scrutiny for potential reforms. Calls for reform suggest a need for systemic changes. Reform efforts may face resistance due to the desire to maintain the status quo. The debate centers on balancing the need for change with the preservation of existing structures. Anchor 1 initiates a summary of the current situation. Anchor 1 asks, "So, what are we left with?" Anchor 2 responds to Anchor 1's question. Anchor 2's reply is concise and suggests a lack of change. Anchor 2 states, "More of the same." The exchange implies a continuation of existing conditions or problems. The news presents contrasting perspectives on societal issues. One anchor describes a never-ending cycle of crime and punishment. This suggests a pessimistic view of the justice system's effectiveness. Another anchor frames a topic as embodying the American dream, indicating optimism. The news broadcast is concluding. Anchor 1 delivers the standard sign-off. The broadcast is identified as the new Sentinel. Anchor 2 adds a closing remark. The remark encourages viewers to stay cynical. This cynical remark provides a unique end to the news broadcast. The news segment concludes with a sense of urgency. Anchor 3 emphasizes the critical need for survival. This statement suggests a dire situation or challenge. Anchor 4 provides a simple good night, ending the broadcast. The news program concludes its broadcast. The new Sentinel logo is displayed prominently. This visual signifies the end of the show. The screen gradually fades to black. This fade-out provides a definitive ending.